What up? 大家好，我是锁头 and welcome to part 1 of 奇怪 Doctor and the multiverse of chill deal. Because this guy is so goddamn arrogant, just listening to his testimony, I nearly threw my computer across the room. So, why don't you grab yourself a drink, smash that like button, and let's get straight into it. So today's episode is brought to you by the word squirrely, which means to be mildly insane. And usually someone who's squirrely is quite shifty and jumps around back and forth and is very animated in an unnecessary way, just like a squirrel. So once again, Amber Heard's team have brought in a psychiatrist to testify to Johnny Depp's mental state. And I'm telling you, this guy is out of his mind. From the beginning, it starts off bad. Now, this first clip is Johnny Depp's lawyer moving to impeach him as a witness because of his lack of expertise in a certain area.
Your Honor, I move to qualify Dr. Spiegel as an expert in the field of psychiatry and behavioral sciences with specific emphasis on drug and alcohol abuse, intimate partner violence, and the effect of these as they pertain to the issues in this case.
All right, any objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
You wish to voir dire?
I do.
Okay.
You've never conducted any empirical research on individuals who experienced intimate partner violence, have you, sir?
If your definition is trials, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Like pharmaceutical trials, or what are you saying? Is that what you're saying? Because I've done review articles on patients who suffered from trauma. So the answer is, I haven't done any studies like where you give them medication for treatment or try one treatment versus another. I've reviewed the body of literature on intimate partner violence to get 2 review articles, yes.
So you've read about it, is what you just testified to.
I would have to disagree with you on that, sir. Reading about it and writing a review article are completely 2 different things, sir.
All right. You haven't authored any articles specifically on IPV, have you, sir?
As a subset of trauma, the answer is yes. In terms of in the name of the title of the article, the answer is no.
You've never written any books specifically on IPV?
I've never written any books on IPV, although temporomandibular disease, in terms of psychiatric issues, does have a higher frequency in those patients who have suffered from trauma, including intimate partner violence.
You've never...
And I am part of that book.
Okay. Temporomandibular disease deals with problems with the jaw?
Is that a question, sir?
What is temporomandibular?
Temporomandibular disease is a problem with oral issues, yeah, but there are many patients who complain of oral issues where the oral surgeon cannot find a reason for it, and the reason why they can't is because people who have suffered from trauma and intimate partner violence are prone to increased sensitivity of somatic sensations, which can manifest in temporomandibular disease. Thank you, I appreciate that. Nice plug for my book, too, thank you.
Didn't hear it, but there we go. So, you haven't written any chapters of any books specifically about IPV?
Again, I think I've gone over that. I've written 2 articles on that, and I've written parts of chapters. And dissociative identity disorder, I should add, where I did write a chapter on, is completely based on trauma and intimate partner violence.
Right. I'm not asking you about trauma because you want to talk about trauma. I'm asking you about IPV specifically.
I will reiterate again, you cannot separate intimate partner violence and say that is a separate rubric aside from trauma. Trauma is overall, intimate partner violence is part of trauma, and the answer to the question is any individual who suffers from a dissociative disorder, which I am the author of a chapter of, suffers from trauma, whether it be at the hands of childhood or it be at the hands of an intimate partner.
Right, but you've already testified that half your practice is trauma and a subset of that practice is IPV, correct?
Which is, actually, I treat the national average patients. About 20% of patients suffer from it, and that's about my practice number.
Except you're discounting the fact that half your practice is not trauma at all. So 10% of your practice is IPV.
I don't know if the numbers add up exactly like that.
I'm just using yours.
I don't know if I'm doing, I don't know if those numbers add up like that, because I'm not sure if that's the case. If you say 25%, then maybe 12.5% of my practice, that's being rather specific. So again, a significant number of my patients have suffered from intimate partner violence. I see it on a daily basis, and I'm not sure exactly why I'm getting asked the same question again.
So, as you can see, Doc Brown from Back to the Future is very full of himself.
21 gigawatts!
And at this point, Depp's lawyer has realized he's bit off a little bit more than he can chew. But unfortunately, Depp's lawyer doesn't know when to quit, and he keeps pressing on, allowing the doctor more time to bore and annoy the fuck out of everyone in the courtroom until finally the judge has had enough.
And IPV doesn't appear in your CV at all.
If you say it's not in my CV, I will believe you.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that are not in my CV that I do.
And you're not associated with any professional literature on IPV.
I'm sorry, repeat the question, sir?
Is there any professional literature that you've contributed to relative to IPV specifically as opposed to trauma generally?
The answer to the question again, sir, is that you cannot separate this artificial separation you're trying to do between trauma and intimate partner violence. It is part and parcel of trauma. We don't thread it like that.
Your Honor, plaintiff would accept this witness as an expert on general psychiatry, and with respect to the drug usage issues that Ms. Bredehoff referenced, but not with respect to IPV.
All right, over objection, he's entered as an expert as stated on the record. All right, you may continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Ms. Bredehoff, I assume you have...
I have quite a bit more.
Let's go ahead and take our morning recess. Ladies and gentlemen, just do not discuss the case and don't do any outside research. We'll be back with you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In 15 minutes.
Sorry, I
We're
talked
just
too
taking a
much.
break. No, we're just taking a break.
People couldn't get out of that courtroom fast enough. Now, this next clip actually confirms our theory from a few episodes back when we went at Don Hughes regarding the ethical practices of a psychologist and a psychiatrist. And of course, Rick Sanchez is more than happy to share his knowledge of the Goldwater rule. But later on, his knowledge and his arrogance will come back to bite him in the ass.
Thank you, Dr. Spiegel. I'm going to now move to the Goldwater rule. Can you explain the Goldwater rule, please?
So the Goldwater rule is when Senator Goldwater was running for presidency. But basically what's happening is clinicians, psychiatrists were making these quote-unquote armchair diagnoses from their homes or offices because they saw this person on TV, the way they acted, and were asked to comment about what they think their diagnoses are. And therefore, it was felt that that should not be done by professionals in these public settings.
Does it have any applicability here?
No, it does not.
And
For
why?
Multiple reasons. One, the basics of expert witness testimony would almost be thrown away if you are not allowed to base things on what you evaluated of an individual, what you've read about an individual. So if I'm not allowed to comment on records or charts or information that I look, then expert witness testimony can't be done. But more specifically for this case, in the Goldwater rule, the pure version of it was the armchair diagnosis of watching someone on TV. Just, you don't make a diagnosis. More recently, I think that's even more recent, we've had examples of that. So you don't make diagnoses like that. This is not the case here, because like I said to you at the beginning, I have reviewed a lot of professionals and their evaluations and their treatment course, video deposition, picture deposition, court filings, emails. I mean, I reviewed a whole lot of things that directly describe Mr. Depp and his behavior. So I'm not commenting on a public opinion, and I have absolutely no knowledge of what's in Mr. Depp's history. If I was just doing that, it would be like watching a movie. That's not relevant here. To be fair, for an evaluation, for my own direct evaluation, again, I was offered twice that I can do an evaluation of Mr. Depp directly, and both times Mr. Depp and or his lawyers decided that that wasn't going to happen.
Okay. And in fact, the court did not require Mr. Depp to...
No, and the court did not require Mr. Depp to undergo this evaluation.
All right, so now Depp's lawyer is up for round 2. And I gotta admit, he kinda got his ass handed to him in the previous round by Dr. Strange. So let's see if he does better this round.
All right, so the last thing you talked about was the Goldwater rule.
Yes, sir.
Been around for almost 50 years, right?
Yeah, I'm 59. That sounds about right.
Yeah. And who has that rule? What organization maintains that rule?
The American Psychiatric Association.
An association you're a member of?
Association that I'm a member of, yes.
Aren't you a fellow or something?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, and this is an ethical rule, right?
It is an ethical rule. And yes, it's ethical. They say rules. It's an ethical guideline. Yes, they're guidelines.
Mm-hmm. And you know that over time, the American Psychiatric Association has amended the rule, so it's not just about diagnoses, but it's also about professional opinions.
Could you be more specifically say about professional opinion in regard to what?
Let me read this and see if you're familiar with it. It is unethical for a psychiatrist to offer a professional opinion about an individual based on publicly available information without conducting an examination. That's the rule, right?
If you're reading it directly, I will believe you.
However, a diagnosis is not required for an opinion to be professional. So my question is, it's not just diagnosis that this Goldwater rule applies to, it's professional opinions.
So again, I will reiterate that would come down to essentially nullifying witness testimony, expert witness testimony, without direct evaluation. And as we know, it didn't happen. But regardless of that, the whole expert witness testimony thing would be basically rendered null and void.
Psychiatrists are ethically prohibited from evaluating individuals without permission or other authorization, such as a court order. That's the rule, right?
Again, if you're reading that, then I have to believe you're not misrepresenting it. So at the end of the day, you are essentially saying that unless someone has directly evaluated it, this whole medical system we have, this whole legal system we have is null and void.
I'm not saying...
No, yes, you are, sir. No, you are.
Well, give me a second, and I'll give you more than a second. What I'm saying and what I am reading to you is a rule by your organization that takes into account that there could be court orders that would permit the exact kind of evaluation that you say I'm eliminating.
And I think we're going in circles because I think I just said that means expert witness testimony would not be allowed, and the branch of forensic psychiatry would be especially hindered. And we know the branch of forensic psychiatry does not prohibit that. So I am a member of the APA. That doesn't necessarily mean every single thing they put in there, everybody has to uncategorically agree with, because clearly that's not the case.
So now my man's got receipts, and Squirrely Doc Brown is talking himself in circles and doesn't even realize the pot is boiling. But as Depp's lawyer stays strong in this next clip, you're gonna see the mad doctor start to jump around like his pants are on fire. And just when it's about to get too hot for him, the judge steps in, but not in the way you think.
Did you agree in your deposition that the professional opinions you rendered were inconsistent with the Goldwater rule?
Yeah, my first was inconsistent. If we're saying that if the Goldwater rule says, and I very much said that during the deposition, that the Goldwater rule was made for presidents and public figures such as that. But regardless of that, because that's what it was made for, it's not made for Hollywood. But I'll even take that Mr. Depp's a public figure. What I'm saying to you is that the Goldwater rule is saying we cannot do any expert witness testimony in our field. That is exactly what the Goldwater rule is saying based on exactly what you read. And I'm just telling you what you are saying that rule encompasses.
What I'm asking you, sir, is did you comply with the ethical requirements of the APA when rendering the professional opinions that you've rendered today?
It is a requirement of the APA. It is not the requirement of the APA. Secondarily,
so the answer is no?
Secondarily, again, in order to not we wasted our whole morning because there was an expert witness before me. There's an expert witnesses everyone brought in. So all I'm saying to you, that means the whole field of medical legal law is corrupt and unethical for engaging in an act that the APA clearly says we should not do. So if you're saying that, then the answer is yes, I'm agreeing with that statement.
What you just testified to, because I didn't ask you anything about that. I asked you whether, under this rubric, under this principle of medical ethics, have you acted unethically? Yes or no?
No. As an expert witness, I have not acted unethically. And if you want the jury to believe that expert witnesses are unethical, then I guess that's for them to decide.
Yes or
that's
no,
for them
sir.
to decide.
You said no. Let's go to the next question. Let's start with the easy question then. Maybe we can...
That was pretty easy. Go ahead.
All right, Doctor, you're going to have to just answer the questions.
Okay. Sorry about that. Getting into it.
You need to just answer the questions,
Okay.
Dr. Spiegel.
You are not rendering any diagnosis whatsoever of Mr. Depp today or ever.
Finally, the squirrely doctor is left motionless and speechless. Now, where most lawyers would have let up a bit, Johnny Depp's lawyer is looking to nail this guy hard. And he presses on with one final blow, which knocks the doctor on his ass.
You remember the American Medical Association?
No.
Okay, so you don't know what the ethical rule of the American Medical Association is relative to doing clinical diagnoses about individuals you've never talked to.
So you're saying in terms of doing expert witness evaluations under that rubric, right?
I'm just asking you, do you know the AMA's rule?
You're saying the AMA's ruling under the rubric of not doing evaluation, some of you did not see, and I'm questioning, I'm asking, so you are talking about expert witness testimony?
No, I'm talking about, do you know the rule?
I'm not a member of the AMA, so I don't read the rubric.
We can move on, you don't know the rule.
Even the courtroom chimed in on that one. So after this, you might think, well, Doc Brown is knocked back to his original timeline and everything is all well in the multiverse, right? Nah, because what you're about to see in the next episode plays out better than any legal drama on Netflix, son. And I think afterwards, the mad doctor might need to find his own psychiatrist to talk to. So stick around for that, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace!